Hi, Michelle Hope here from Diamonds and Diamonds, and welcome to video number 3, building your crown. So we've gone through the contents of the kit, we've made the base, we've made all the components, and now you're ready to construct your crown. Fantastic. How are you finding it so far? Good? I hope so. Anyway, let's get beginning. We're going to start by constructing the crown, and this is where you're going to end up at the end of this video with a complete crown. Fantastic. I'll see you guys back here. Oh, and don't forget to put the kettle on. See you in a bit. Bye. So now you have everything ready to go. You've got all of your pieces. You've got your flowers, your orchids, your feathers, your leaves, your little nodule sprig bits that haven't been taped and wired. You've got your feature beads, including your bats, your skulls that have gone into your flowers, and your little spikes as well. So you've got everything you need already and taped up. What I would do is group them. So you've got a group of feathers, a group of feature beads, a group of leaves, and a group of flowers, so that you've got everything laid out ready so you can see. It will end up being a complete mess when you've got to the end, but it's actually a lot easier for you to do that and see what you're doing and see how many pieces you've got left and how you want to sequence them in, because you don't want to obviously suddenly realise that you've been taping everything on and you've taped a load of orchids over this side and then you've not incorporated some leaves and some feathers. You want to evenly distribute it over the crown. You will need your little cutters, whether you're using those or whether you're using a sharp pair of scissors or whether you're using the inside of your pliers. Whatever, you need those ready for this as well. You're going to need your tape. Now, if you've still got a couple of pieces left over that are cut in half, then that's absolutely fine. It's not a problem. You may find that it may break a little bit easier, but you've got some more of your tape strips left ready, so you're going to need those as well. We shouldn't need any more wires or anything else. This is all you need for the moment. So let's get on. So what is a good idea is to decide which way round you're going to do this, which way you're going to start. I start from this way and work this way because I find it a lot easier. What you can do is, obviously, if you're left or right-handed, you can start this way and go that way round. Or I've even started at the front before and worked my way back, and I even started at the back, worked my way front and back, working my way front. So there is a completely up to you in the way you want to do this. I'm actually going to take it so that it kind of goes around this way. The leaves are going to kind of be the one that faces in that direction, but it's going to kind of follow that stream. But because we've got a lot of things that can face outwards, it's not really going to matter which way around you do this. But again, like with everything else to do with these crowns, it's kind of exactly how you want it to be, how you want it to work, and how you want it to look, so that you do it how you want to. Okay, so now you're ready to start. What you need to do is I would pinch one of these larger pieces and just pull that out so it's got a little bit of a starting sticky piece. Decide what you're going to start with. I'm actually going to start with this little nodule, this little sprig, just because when we actually come to doing the ribbons at the back, they'll cover up this lump here, but you'll also be able to sort of cover it up a little bit. If you do the feathers and you do the flowers and bits and pieces, you'll be covering that part up, so it will be an illusion of the whole way round. So if you just hold the piece to your wire, so you're working on the outside of your wire, just hold the piece. Now, whichever way you want to do this, whether you want to wrap that way or you want to wrap this way, it's entirely up to you. Hold it and wrap round. So pull that tape. You're going to find this tape a little bit more resistance because it is obviously bigger. The taper is wider. So like I said, if you're pulling quite tight on the skinny pieces, then it's going to snap a little bit harder. So it's much easier to use these in whole pieces. So just pull and wrap round manually. But make sure you're pulling this tight. You can see just how much stretch you can get out of this. Look, before it breaks, there's so much stretch out of this that can go all the way around, and that will tape down nice and securely. Okay, so I'm just going to start building up my layers and start building up what I'm putting on here. So I think I'm going to go ahead and put on a leaf next. So I'm going to slightly make that go down to the back. So like I said, because you've got this on wire, you can manipulate it into whichever position you want it to sit at. If you were to sit it like that, you're going to cover up exactly what you've just done. So I am going to take it slightly to the right, or down, left, right, whichever left or right way around you're watching. so that you've got a little bit of a leaf feature there as well. Now how you tape this on, like I said, is completely up to you. I'm actually going to take one of the little roses now. So what you'll find is that it will be probably easier for them to sit like that, because otherwise if you're sitting like this, it's going to kind of not face outwards. So it's better to just kind of keep it at a bit of an angle. Hold its head down while you wrap your tape round, and like I said, we've got to a bit where it's not quite stretched anymore. Look how far I can stretch that out. Gently. Ooh! It does break if you pull it too hard. I was just trying to show that obviously there's a little piece of tape. You should have more than enough tape to do this project, but it's only obviously you need to make sure that you stretch out your tape, because it will just not stick otherwise to the thing. So then that can be bent back out again. So what you'll see here now is that you've got this little tail that we don't need. If we started to tape all of these things on and left all of these tails, you're going to have a build up and you're going to end up with maybe bits poking through the tape and poking into your head. So you need to snip those off with the cutters. Just make sure that you cover those little ends up with a piece of tape. So I'm going to go ahead. I actually think I'm going to start small and graduate a little bit bigger and then go back small again on this one. But you can do it randomly. There's some of the flower heads are a little bit bigger than the others. If you can see that. Pull your tape and wrap it round. Pull your tape and wrap it round. Okay. I think I'm going to put in a feather now. Actually, I'm going to do it this side because we've put that at that angle. I'm actually going to put this at this angle, so it just sort of takes it over to this side as well. But you can do this any way you like, any way you want to put this together. There's like obviously little gaps in between these little orchids, and because these otherwise will stick up awkwardly, if you just pop them through there like that and then tape it down, it will just sit nicely within that orchid. You can now go back over if you're finding that your tape's come too far down and you've put something in and you need to go back up a little bit. Then just go back up the crown a little piece and start coming back down again. Snip off the excess and wrap the tape round. So now you've got that little bead just peeking through that little orchid. I don't know about you, but when I'm concentrating I sometimes stick my tongue out, so it's a good job I'm not on film. You can only see my hands because I stick my tongue out, which would probably be quite hilarious to watch, but quite embarrassing. So I'm going to put one of these just in there. I'm actually going to put it alongside with this little sprig. And I'll put it there. So my tape is a little bit further back, so I'm going to keep my tape going further down. So where my leaf is sitting is where my tape is ready to go on. And just tape that on. I think I'm going to put on another feather. So check that feather on there. And again, snip the tail off. And I'm going to go for another orchid. When you start with a fresh piece of tape, it's always easy just to hold and snip and pull that, pinch that. That's actually attached to that piece now, if you can see. So then you can easily start off with the new tape. anchored on to the rest of it. We've got quite a big kick on here because it's a much thicker wire, don't forget, so we're going to take that off. Twist that how we want it to sit. Carry on taping. And I think I'm going to put a bat just in there. And we're going to start building up those layers as we go, and you're going to get all the way around to the side. Don't be too generous when you first start off. If you clump them too close together, you'll find out you'll run out and you'll have to spread them out. Right, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you to carry on working your way around, and I'm going to go and carry on working my way around, and I shall see you back here when we have got nearly to the end. Obviously pause me while you carry on, because when I come back I'd have finished mine. Like I said, I'm going to carry on and I'll see you back here in a sec. Okay, so I've nearly got to the end and I'm just going to show you the last couple of bits. I just wanted to show you that if you wanted to add pieces onto each other first, I mean that looks quite cute together. I'm actually going to tape that on before I then tape it to the crown. It does help you hold them still a little bit longer before you actually tape them onto the crown, which can be a little bit fiddlier. So we're just going to put that there. So it means it's a lot easier for you to hold. Sometimes they can twist and then it can sit on the side, or sometimes even pull it round to the back. It just makes it a little bit easier. So if you want to cluster things together, then you can do. Hopefully you're nearly where I am, but if not, obviously like I said, just pause the video and wait till you catch up and then come back and we'll carry on. I'm actually just going to use this little tiny piece that was exactly the same as we used on this side, and I'm actually going to just tape it that way, so we've got a nice little finishing edge to there. I do actually realise that I've actually got a feature bead left extra, so I'm actually going to find somewhere where there's actually one not in, maybe there, and I'm going to pop that in. Wrap that around, there we go. Going to take another bigger piece of tape. And finish that last piece off. I'm going to bring that tape through to this side slightly just to finish that edge off. The last bits are always just the fiddliest because you've kind of come back on yourself and you've got these flowers in the way and those flowers in the way, so it's always just a little bit more fiddly just to finish off these parts, but it's worth just making sure everything's all tied on properly. And there we go. So there you have it. That's complete. This one looks actually a little bit prettier than the one I did for the sample one, so I'm quite pleased with that. Okay, so give me a sec, I'm going to clean up and I'm going to go move on to the next bit where we start putting the ribbons onto the end and finishing off.
So now that we have that finished and you're happy and everything is in its right place and you're happy with everything that it is and it fits and it looks lovely, we're going to put the last finishing touches on, which we're going to put some ribbon around here so that you don't see so much of this green, and we're also going to put some ribbons obviously hanging down at the back. So what you're going to need is obviously your ribbons from your kit. You're going to need the bag of beads that come in your kit. You're going to need your scissors and you're going to need a lighter. Okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the ribbon that is the longest ribbon in your pack, and you're going to need to find the centre point. So if you pull the ribbon through your fingers, put the two ends together, run your fingers all the way along, then you can find the centre point of the ribbon. What you then need to do is you need to then find the centre point of your crown. So this will be the base, because obviously this is the back of your head, this is where the normal part is that you've attached it to. So the opposite, dead opposite piece of here, over here, will be the front part of your crown. This will be the piece that is at the front of your head. So this is where you need to start. So what we need to do is just start with putting the ribbon through the flowers, holding it there, and then we're literally going to start taking this ribbon over and up and round and in between the flowers. It doesn't need to be pulled particularly very tight. It's literally here to tidy up just some of the little rough edges and the green tape. Unfortunately, they don't do this particular tape in a black colour, so we're just going to tidy it up with putting some nice satin ribbon through it all. You can be a little bit brutal with these, they are going to bend back. Because we've put everything on wires, you're going to be able to manipulate these all back and pop them back where they came from, and tweak where they sit on the crown quite easily once you've put all this ribbon on. So just keep this side that you're going to work with around that way out of the way. And you just keep wrapping round. Putting your feathers and bits out of the way, finding that gap, pulling it through and wrapping round. It can be a little bit fiddly, but it's definitely worth doing this. It's definitely worth taking the time to do this little bit extra, because it just makes a nice little finishing touch to the whole thing. Gives it just a little bit more of a professional finishing off to the whole piece. You can actually see that the longer ribbon is slightly one-sided on the satin, so I'm keeping obviously this part on the outside and this part on the inside. There we go. If you do get any awkward pieces where you think that the gap is a little bit too small and it's just a little bit too fiddly to get the ribbon through, if you remember that thicker wire that we had in the pack, you should have one thick wire in the pack. You need to use this at this stage. You bend that in half and you can just pop a hook over at the top. So I've got a particularly dense, awkward little patch here, and I want to take it through on that gap. Take it through and under, and then grab hold of the piece of ribbon. You can squeeze the hook a bit more shut if you like, and then just put it back through that gap, and then you can put it through. So this comes in handy if you have got this to hand. Comes in handy if you've got it to hand. if you find that you've got any rough pieces of wire, I've just found a little tiny wire that's poking out and it's just a little bit rough. If you can't snip it off without leaving a clean line, then just push it down flat with your nose pliers. I had a little tiny wire in there that's poking out, and it may just poke through onto your head at some point if it twists around. So just squeeze it shut with your pliers and then go over it with the ribbon. So can you see what we're doing here? We're just taking this ribbon and wrapping it around. You can, if you really want to, and you want to take much more time, you can really take your time and wrap every inch so that it actually meets and covers every single piece of this green. What I'm doing is literally just taking it through and in between most of the flowers so that the gaps that actually show potentially are the pieces that doesn't have the wrap around them, so it won't show you really as much. So I'm leaning at the end on this half. Take this through and over the modules, but what we're going to do is we're going to attach the other ribbons to this part, then we're going to take this part, and when this piece, obviously this side, has got here, we're going to wrap those over those other pieces of ribbons to make this all tidy and neat and lovely. But I'll show you that when we get there. What I am going to do is I'm going to take this piece of ribbon, and on this side we just come through the centre and just wrap it around until I get back in the back. You do the same, catch up to that point, pause me, pop me back on. So I've got to the end on both sides of the ribbon now, so we've met in the middle almost. I've just left this gap clear. So you are going to need a ribbon again, or your piece of wire again. Just going to get that in. Okay, you're going to need your beads and you're going to need your other ribbons. So you can take hold of one of these. Okay, what you can do is, first of all, if you wanted to have them a little bit shorter, you can put them in a loop, put them over the crown like so. I'm actually going to do this with this one. Put them over a loop, put them through, bring them back through. That's as simple as that. Can you see? So you've literally just pulled that on tight as it is through there. But what we're going to do with the other two, or the other three, is we're just going to tie those on. But what we've got this one. If you've got this feature ribbon in your kit, the ribbons will be slightly different in each of the kits, but the principle will be completely the same. What we're going to do is we're going to take hold of this piece and we're going to tie it to this piece so it's actually in a knot. Because this is an organza piece, it's going to be easier to tie and make a very small knot as well. You're going to take that up and we're just going to tie that piece on. Go. I'll just give it one more knot just to make sure it's on, and there you go, and we've just got one last piece left to go. I think I'm going to leave this in a straight piece. This is a double-sided piece of satin. Tighten the knot. Nothing fancy about this part of it, because what we're going to do when we go back over it with the other ribbon, we're just going to tidy that up. Try and make it as neat as possible, but the other ribbon, once wrapped around it, will cover all of these, all these little nodules up and all these little knots up, so it will just tidy everything up for you and you won't see it anyway. Fiddly stuff, black on black. Okay, so now you've got that little tiny piece there that's a little bit frayed. You're going to need to get your lighter and you're going to need to burn that end. Be careful that you've not got any feathers or anything else in the way. You're just going to burn that end and tuck that down there. So now we've got all the ribbons hanging down at the back. What we need to do is we need to go back with the ribbons that we've wrapped around the crown. As you can see, they're here still, look. I'm going to carry on wrapping to finish this off. If you can see this, I'm just going to wrap this over the top of that and through. Wrap it over the top of that bit. And there we go, through that gap there. You just need to hold that out of the way for a second. And while you get hold of the other piece of ribbon from the other side, you're going to wrap that over as well. I hope you can see this okay. Wrap that through, wrap that over there, wrap that over the knots as well. So now what you've got, this piece and this piece, one is one half, one is the other half, you're going to need to tie that in a knot. Tie it as tight as you possibly can, and then tie again. And that should hang down nicely. So now we've got all of our lovely ribbons. As I said, the sample one, if you watch the demos and the promo videos, I did actually say that the sample ribbons was terrible because I didn't actually have a ribbon delivery at the time, and I just used scrap pieces that I had, and I didn't have anywhere near as much black ribbon as I should have had. So yeah, you've got a wonderful array of more ribbons on your one than you will have been seen on the pictures. Now you've got some quite long pieces. If you think they're too long or you're not quite happy with them as they are, then if you want to cut them off and make them all sort of like the same sort of length, then you can take these pieces and just tie them back up here somewhere. So this is entirely up to you. I quite like mine long because I like the way they hang down over your shoulder. So there you go. What we're now going to do is we're going to put the beads on. So we're going to get hold of your beads, and if you remember, we actually kept back one of the spikes that I took back off of the wire because I forgot to put it on, and I also kept back one of the flower beads because we'd decided to put the skull through one of the roses. So we've got, should be about 10 beads it says on the packet, but depending on how you want to do it, then obviously you'll have about 10 to 14 beads. We're not going to put one on the end of this one. So you've got 7 beads on the end of here, so what we can do is just double those up. So if you want to decide how you want to do that, what I would suggest is that you have holes, beads with really big holes. I would put a bead with a smaller hole underneath it when you're tying them on, because the knot that you'll have to tie at the base of that ribbon is going to be a lot smaller than it will be when you have to try and hold this one on. Take your scissors and you need to cut this at an extreme angle that you can get it at. So you've got a real point. Can you see? What you then need to do is just to take your lighter and just lightly touch that edge. So if you need to thread your beads through onto your ribbon, so just got a little white bead there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and we're going to come back on ourselves. Tie this in a knot, and then what you're going to do is you're going to take your bead and you're going to pop this in there and literally just squeeze your bead back down over both the layers. So your bead is keeping that little tail out of the way. If you want to leave that as it is, that's absolutely fine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pop that off, burn it, and that makes it a lot tidier and neater. That's one ribbon done. Get this down to as sharp a point as possible. Burn it. Satin ribbon will always burn a little bit slowly, so you can take a little bit more time on burning that edge. It's a lot easier to burn that edge because, trust me, it will fray when you start trying to push it through the beads. So I think I'm going to put a skull bead on this one. And I'm going to take one of the smaller beads, smaller hold beads. Push that through, that's gone through nice and easily. Literally just a knot to finish. Pull that down to the end, pull your beads down, and you're done. If it has started to fray, just quickly give it another little tassel. I quite like it when it comes down to a point like that. 2 ribbons done. I'm going to do this one first. Actually, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to put this on here. That bead really wants to escape. Oh! It really wants to escape. I'm going to put it down on the floor for a minute. You won't need to cut this one too much at a touch. You won't need to cut this one too much at an angle. It's a smaller ribbon, but it is just easier just sometimes just to get that point going through the hole. Pull that through. Take it through. I'm going to take it through the spike again, just to show you again. And then I'm just going to tie that in a knot. Tie that in a knot like that. And like I did before, I'm just going to pull that bead back over both of the layers. Quite fiddly to see this black on black, I do apologise. If you do have any problems with it trying to go through any of the beads, I'm actually going to do this. That wire that you had, just you can use that to push the ribbon through the bead. That's worked. There we go. And that works with the other beads as well. If you just have a little bit of a trouble pushing that through, you can just do that. Now if you want to tie that again, that's absolutely fine, but I'm going to leave that as a raw end and just do that. That's quite sweet. Worth the pain. Worth the agony of trying to do that. Okay, another one. So I'm going to put a heart bead on. Didn't burn it, did I? Look, see, it started to fray. That's what I mean. As soon as you start pushing them through the beads, they will fray. So it is much easier just to burn before you do that. And I think I've got an extra bead knocking around, so I'm going to put 2 beads on, I think, for that. Remember to put your thicker or your bigger hold beads on first, because the knot that you'll have to tie will be a lot bigger than it will be. You have to do it 2 or 3 times and then it'll look chunky. And then put a smaller hold bead on after it. So I'm just going to show you what I mean about putting through. So just line it up. If it doesn't want to go through on its own, just take the end of that wire and push it through, and it should push it through for you. It makes it life a lot easier. Okay, that's the last knot, the last bead, and I think that's the last ribbon. I'll just double check. We're done. Voila! you have awesome beads, trinkets, ribbons, pretty things. Okay, love this. Really pleased with this version. Even more pleased with this than the sample one. In actual fact, I think the next part of this video, the outro, is going to show probably the sample version, so it'll look a little bit different to this one. But I pre-recorded those before I made these ones. So, a little bit of movie magic there going on for you. Anyway, so you're done. Look at that, fantastic. We are done. I hope that you've caught up and you're at the same level as me. Obviously, just take your time. You can rewind me and look at me or listen to me as much as you need to until you've got it right. Just take your time and tweak however you want these tweaked and made, however you want them to be made and done, and then you'll be absolutely fine. You'll be on your way to your gig, to your barbecue, to your concert, looking absolutely beautiful.
So that's it. We've come to the end of video number 3. You should have a constructed, finished flower crown. Have you? I hope so. I hope my instructions have been clear and straightforward for you. I hope you've thoroughly enjoyed making this crown with me, because I have thoroughly enjoyed doing this process. Please, I would love to see the photos of your end results. I really would. Let me know what festivals you're going to, or why you wanted to make the crown, whether you're going to a gig or an event, or even just a wedding, or even just a summer barbecue. Whatever you're doing with your crown, please let me know. I'd love to see the finished results. Come and find me, and also use the hashtag D&D DIY flower crown, and I'll be able to find all of those photos that you post up of those. I really hope that you've enjoyed this video tutorial set, and I really hope that you might join me for any future ones that I may come up with. And please let your friends know if you also enjoyed it, and hopefully they will come along and watch this video set with me and make their own crown. Love you guys so much. Take care for now. Bye. Bye.